What's going on, Flicks Talkers? Back with another video. This time it's going to be a little lengthier, but it's okay because trust me, you guys are going to be in for some treats this October. Now, happy October 1st, 2019. Now, I've compiled a list of my top 13 movies, horror movies that you gotta watch this month of October. It's only 13. I know you guys can squeeze it in the 31 days that we have this month. Now, I'm not gonna be focusing on anything in like the last decade or so. I'm kind of more in the retro area of it because that is like kind of like my nostalgia. So I've just compiled once again my favorite horror movies that I actually own on Blu-ray or 4K. And I'm here to kind of give you guys a rundown on what you should check out if you possibly missed it in your lifetime. So starting off my list, guys, and not in any particular order whatsoever, is going to be the original. I believe it's a 1978 Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis. Now, this right here is also directed by Mr. John Carpenter right here. I had to add it to my collection on 4K. It looks so crisp and sharp. I mean, this is a dark film if you guys kind of watch it. It is very, very dark in the tones, but I'm not here to kind of judge the 4K itself. I just want to kind of tell you guys what the movie's about roughly so that you guys can check it out if you have not seen this one. So first off, if you have not seen the original Halloween, but you've seen all the new movies or the ones in the trilogy that were kind of, it was kind of a series that didn't really hold weight and the story was very, very convoluted. They just try to kind of cash in on the whole Michael Myers franchise, but the original in my book and even the one that came out last year are like the top ones that you guys need to check out. But I think number one still holds true, Halloween. So pretty much the central story of this, guys, is Laurie Strode, that's Jamie Lee Curtis's character. Her brother escapes a mental facility, and we find out kind of a backstory. The intro of this is a one-shot take, guys. Now, this is the late 70s we're talking about. The one-shot takes right there were kind of innovative at the time, and it just kind of shows young Michael committing a crazy, crazy murder, and him getting locked up for it. He escapes a mental facility, and he tries to hunt down Miss Jamie Lee Curtis. I believe it's his younger sister. He's related to her, maybe a cousin or something like that. I totally forget. But it's the events that lead on Halloween night in the late 70s. So you guys need to really, really check this one right here. They also call him The Shape because they weren't really sure what to call him. So Halloween 1978, I believe it's 1978, 1979. You guys definitely need to check out. Now, this is actually a movie that came out in theaters, select theaters, because back then they didn't have that much money to kind of be, putting these out nationwide. So they kind of had a run at one theater for a weekend, and then they shipped the reel off to another theater. And this movie got terrible, terrible reviews when it first came out, guys. And it took a long time for one reviewer to kind of, well, not even a reviewer, but a writer in a paper to review this movie and say that it was awesome. You guys need to check it out. And then people flocked to theaters, and this was like a very controversial movie, even though it doesn't show that much gore. It kind of leaves it up to your imagination, like Hitchcock status. So definitely, if you guys are into this original slasher stalker type movie, definitely check out Halloween this month. Now, another one, guys, you guys need to check out is Child's Play 2. Now, I know there's like 8 movies, I believe now in the franchise, but you guys need to check out the second one. Now, the reason why I'm not saying the original is classic, and it tells you the whole story of Charles Lee Ray, who is Chucky. So you guys get to find out kind of how this serial killer came to be, because what it is essentially is a serial killer gets shot and he transfers his body into this doll right here. So Chucky is the vessel. Charles, that's the nickname, is Chucky, into this doll, and he's trying to find his way out into another body and just kind of start his, just start his life over basically through a child. And I mean, why would you start your life over someone that's 30 years old? Just start back. So he kind of like, through voodoo, these rituals, he's trying to transfer his body into this kid, Andy. And it's a really, really cool story, but I think the second one is got to be my favorite. The second and third one, I always find myself watching the third one more around Halloween time, but the second one is just so fun. The kills are great, and that last like 20-30 minutes in the warehouse house is a phenomenal ending to this crazy horror story, guys. So you got to check out Child's Play Part 2. All right, guys. So another one is probably one that you might not expect. It's Shaun of the Dead right here. This one stars Nick Frost and Simon Pegg right here. We all know Simon Pegg. He's gone on to do crazy movies, more notably Mission Impossible franchise, as well as The Boys. He's in The Boys that I'm watching on Amazon Prime right now. And this one right here is just a quirky zombie movie, almost a satire, just kind of making fun of the whole zombie, subgenre of horror, guys. So definitely check this one out. It's pretty self-explanatory. Zombies take over the world because of some outbreak. I mean, this is happening in London, and it's happening in England. I'm not really sure the exact area in England, but yeah, they're taking over, and it's just the quirky hijinks and just kind of like the cliche things that happen in horror movies. And you get a pretty cool soundtrack, and the whole buddy element of Nick Frost and Simon Pegg kind of going back and forth, trying to stay alive pretty much, is really, really funny. So Shaun of the Dead, you gotta check out this October if you guys haven't already. All right, guys, and another awesome one in the franchise. This is the second one. It's Evil Dead 2. Now, this is kind of like in that more comedy realm of Shaun of the Dead, but not really. It's more on the serious part in certain parts of the movie. Now, why I'm saying Evil Dead 2 and not Evil Dead 1, it's kind of weird. You guys can search this online, but Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2 essentially are the exact same thing. You guys can debate me on that one, but it is kind of the same story. So the story roughly is Ash. I believe it's Ashley for short. That was the first time I ever saw like a male character named Ashley, a female character's name. So they call him Ash, which is a badass name, by the way, a badass shortening of his name. And him and his friends kind of go off to a cabin in the woods for a weekend getaway, and they discover that some grisly murder happened in that home. And they ultimately stumble upon this book made out of flesh, and it's called the Necronomicon. Now, most of you guys know about the Necronomicon. It's very, very iconic, guys, and it started off in this film here. So definitely check this one out if you guys are into demons or witchcraft or voodoo and stuff like that. The practical effects on this, once shit goes crazy, is amazing, guys. It's some of my favorite. It's very, very gross out type of stuff. A lot of, like I said, practical gore of people getting stabbed and just eyes gouging and, just goo coming out of people. You guys need to check out Evil Dead 2. It's one of my favorite in the franchise. All right, guys. Now, it wouldn't be Halloween without Jason Voorhees. Now, Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Now, wait. I know you guys are going to debate me on this one. That one was the most fun. It was the one later down in the trilogy. And it wasn't the last one, but it was definitely up there in the tier. I believe there's something like 10, 11 movies if you guys count Freddy vs. Jason, which is also a good one too. It's later up there, and it was very, very low rated. Probably one of the lowest of the ratings. But I'm going to let you guys know why I like Jason 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Mainly because that one kind of steered away from Camp Crystal Lake. I mean, you get the whole story of Jason coming back. Of course, you got to bring him back because he has to be reanimated somehow. I'm not going to let you guys know how because it is a spoiler. So he ends up kind of aboard a cruise ship that's going to New York. Don't ask me how New Jersey to New York happens. There's a lot of plot holes in that one, but it just ends up becoming a slasher's paradise on a cruise ship, guys, with so many fun, cool kills. It screams 80s for sure. The soundtrack is awesome. And once we hit New York, oh my God, so much fun stuff happens, especially the end of this movie, guys. I love it so much. Jason Takes Manhattan. It's one of the funner movies. It's not more of the serious ones. If you guys want a serious Jason movie, definitely watch the first or the second one. All right, guys. You guys kind of see the origin and the backstory of Mr. Jason Voorhees. And yeah, this one is just one of the fun ones in the collection. All right, guys, so another fun one in my collection is Mr. Robert Rodriguez from Dusk Till Dawn. Now, this one does star George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino acting, and I believe he actually co-directed this or co-produced it with Mr. Robert Rodriguez. These guys have worked together. They are very, very good friends, and I think when they get together, they make magic. Alone, they are make masterpieces, but together they make gold as well. So this is another one that was kind of lower rated, I believe, but it's always been a really, really fun one. I remember watching this one on TV constantly. Of course, it was edited because it was so gory and sexual and raunchy. Now, guys, this is George Clooney at his un-George Clooney. I mean, you guys think of him as more of a clean-cut guy. He's always saving the day in whatever scenario it is. But this one, guys, he plays the bad guy, and he plays an awesome-ass bad guy. I believe his last name is Gecko. I totally forget. Oh, they're the Gecko brothers. So him and Quentin Tarantino are brothers. They're total opposites. You know, you'll see that in the movie. But essentially what it is they are bank robbers and killers on the loose, and they have to make it to Mexico, you know, to hide out. But on the way, I believe it's right on the border of Mexico. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't seen this movie in a couple years. They kind of run across this bar called the Titty Twister, and just mayhem ensues throughout that night. This is the first time this is the second time I did see Salma Hayek. I remember seeing her in Desperado. I'm not sure if this came before Desperado or after. It was a mid-90s gem. I think this actually might be like 96. Yeah, this is 1996, guys, so I'm not sure if that was before or after Desperado, but that was the first time we saw Salma Hayek, and do we see Salma Hayek? So she plays a huge pivotal plot point of when shit just starts going off, so definitely check this one out if you guys are into vampires, demons, and the practical gore is crazy in this film, guys, so it's always a fun watch. From dusk till dawn, they're basically in this bar trying to stay alive till dawn. So if you guys like stuff like that, definitely check out the first one. I know there was many that came in the series, and they were absolutely shitty. And this actually even spawned a TV type of series. So definitely check out From Dusk Till Dawn, the movie. Now the next one, guys, is a movie that I actually don't own. You guys can see the poster right there. It's the original. I believe it's 1979, 78, 79. It's Dawn of the Dead. It's a movie I don't own, like I said, because so many copies I found so many copies, and they're all on DVD. And I'm actually holding out for the Blu-ray. It is something that's extremely rare to obtain. You could buy it on Amazon for $200. I'm not going to pay that, guys. I believe it was a limited run. So Dawn of the Dead with Mr. George Romero's it is probably one of my favorite horror movies of all time, guys. It's definitely in the top zombie subgenres that just hold really, really true to my heart, guys. It is a perfect movie through and through. I love these characters so much. So it takes place pretty much after a zombie apocalypse happens, and we follow some characters into a mall where they're trying to take shelter, and it's like the best idea ever to hold up in a mall. I mean, you have a grocery store, I believe, in there. It's where they get some food, or either from like the food court and stuff. And of course they have clothes, and there's like different activities to all. I mean, what else in the 70s and 80s could you do besides go to the mall? I mean, that's kind of when malls started booming. So we get to see hordes of zombies, and you guys will kind of probably make fun of me nowadays. The zombie makeup looks really, really cheesy back then, but it wasn't more for the practical effects. It was just more of the creepiness and the whole claustrophobic aspect of just being trapped in this mall. Even though it's a large place, there's hundreds of zombies coming at you. Once they smell you or they hear you, they are after you. And this kind of leads to my next favorite one, with the actual remake of Dawn of the Dead. And I believe this one came out in the 2004. And I think this is an absolute great remake. It's not as good as the first one, of course, but it was an excellent remake, guys. This one has Ving Rhames. I don't know the other stars. The main girl, Mekhi Phifer's in it, and Sarah Polley. I'm not sure who she is. I think she might be the main actress in the film. So pretty much, guys, this is a remake of the movie, not shot for shot. I mean, you have different characters, of course, in the movie. Everybody's trying to stay alive, essentially. Once again, it follows a zombie apocalypse. In the beginning of the movie, I thought it was really, really cool. We get to see an awesome Johnny Cash intro, but it's kind of like a not a reasoning for why this is happening, but we kind of get to see the first couple of zombies kind of coming to life, and then of course the aftermath. And I just thought the gore in this film was awesome. Everything about it, and it was really cool. All the makeup guys was Tom Savini, so he's been part of so many zombie movies. The previous one one as well, as well as this remake right here. And I just looked it up. I totally didn't even know. Zack Snyder directed this remake right here. And it looks like George A. Romero and James Gunn were part of writing this remake as well. So that's probably why it's so awesome to me. I guess when I was watching movies back then, I really didn't pay attention kind of to the whole writing and producing and directing of some of these movies, but they definitely stand out to me. Like I said, I haven't seen some of these movies in a couple of years, guys, but I always try to watch some of them around Halloween time. But like I said, it's pretty much a remake of the original 1979 version once again, and I just think they did a phenomenal job kind of nailing it. And some of the characters are a little annoying, but I mean, that just kind of adds to the whole, desperation factor of them trying to stay alive. So definitely check out Dawn of the Dead and the original one, all right, if you guys can. Now, sticking to the theme of zombie films, guys, is a amazing one that I believe came out of Thailand. I might be kicking myself in the ass. I'm sorry. Korea. So this one, Train to Busan, guys, is a phenomenal film that I believe came out 2 years ago, 2017 or 2018, not 2016 actually. Oh man. So this is a movie that I had to pick up absolutely, even though I believe it might be on Netflix or it might be on one of the streaming services right here. So essentially, guys, this movie in a nutshell is a zombie outbreak that happens. We get a little bit of development in the beginning of some of these characters right here. I forget the main guy's name, but he's with his daughter, and they're just traveling to Busan because I believe the mother lives there. So, but amidst all this stuff happening, the first kind of zombie wave hitting, one of the zombies actually is able to jump on the train. So if you guys have seen Snowpiercer with Chris Evans, man, this is the exact same thing almost, but with zombies. So just kind of them getting from each train level to, I don't know what they call them, but there's the levels of the train. So just people getting infected left and right. And they're the kind of like Resident Evil zombies, guys. So they're the real quick, like real spazzing out, spastic type of zombies. So if you guys are really into those fast-paced zombies, this one has some of the best practical effects I've seen recently in a zombie movie. So definitely check out Train to Busan. I give it like 100% for sure. And I think Rotten Tomatoes gave it a high 90% too. So yeah. And the acting actually is really, really good. And the dramatic effect of when things start getting real and the feels start kicking in, they did a really, really good job with the music and everything to kind of make you feel something. So yeah, give this one a watch, Train to Busan. And it wouldn't be Halloween, guys, without Mr. Freddy Krueger right here. Honestly, I don't have a favorite. I'm going to say watch as many Nightmare on Elm Street movies as you can this October or in your lifetime. I think they're all absolutely fun. If you guys don't know the story of Mr. Freddy Krueger, he was pretty much a child murderer. Now, in the remake, they call him a pedophile type of thing. I don't go off that. I go off of these originals right here, guys. I believe it's 7 movies in this franchise right here, not counting Freddy vs. Jason or any of the remakes or anything like that. So, and I believe I even heard a rumor of them wanting to remake it again. So yeah, they're just kind of milking these old horror franchise slashers. And Nightmare on Elm Street, guys, once again, he is a child murderer. The family finds out who he is, where he did it at, and they end up burning him, killing him. And it's this deep, dark secret that all the families hold on to. But once this story kind of gets told, he starts to come back in the nightmares to haunt their children. So he ends up, on Elm Street, of course, and he even says it in the movie. I forget which movie, it might be part 2 or part 3, where he said there's an Elm Street on every corner. So it kind of gives you that effect of like anybody can be a target. He does go after you in your nightmares. So that's the whole thing. And Wes Craven does direct this movie, guys. And I believe he only had a part in the original. And then after that, they started just milking this franchise. I believe Wes Craven's New Nightmare, of course, was like his other one that he did. Now, this one is actually based upon a real story, I believe, from Thailand or the Philippines, of a young boy who said that someone was trying to kill him in his nightmares. So he forced himself through just caffeine of coffee to stay awake for days on end. And we all know that we need our sleep. But how do you sleep when someone like this is after you? So look it up. It's actually based on a true story. I don't know how true that story is. I can't confirm that, but that was his inspiration for making Mr. Fred Fred Krueger. So definitely check out any of the Nightmare on Elm Streets. I would say definitely check out the first 7, guys. Don't watch any of the newer ones. Freddy vs. Jason, like I said, is obviously a spin-off of this, and it was more of a funny movie. As you guys can tell, Fred Krueger was kind of known for the goofiness factor, and I believe in the third part they started making him a little more comical, and some of the kills were a little bit more on the funny side, and they started to make him more of an American icon, horror slasher guy, to kind of like endorse like Pepsi and just like the MTV generation and stuff like that. So if you guys like quirky killer comedies, not really on the funny side like I said, but there are funny aspects of this. He does talk. He's one of the very few slashers that does talk, and he has like very funny one-liners. So definitely check out any of the Nightmare on Elm Streets. All right, guys? Now, jumping back into the Halloween series, I'm going to say Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, is one of my favorites. Now, definitely, guys, this franchise went downhill. And of course, you guys saw last year, they did kind of make a sequel to the official first one because the director did not like where the franchise went. And he signed on with Jamie Lee Curtis. And I believe they're coming out with 2 more, which, oh God, they don't need to keep making these movies. Jamie Lee Curtis is like in her 60s. And if not older. But yeah, guys, this one right here in the franchise, I feel was almost like a reboot where he was just kind of escaping, and it was more of the, I don't know, it was something of more of like an authentic like slasher type of film. In this film, they say Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode died, but how can that happen if she's in the later films? I think they felt like they didn't know where this film was going, so they just kind of wanted to kill off the main character and just continue with the new. And we actually get the introduction, guys, of Jamie Lloyd, played by Danielle Harris. Now, we all know that she is a scream queen. If you guys follow horror movies, she was part of like the Hatchet series, and she's in a lot of her own films. I believe she actually directs too and writes. So yeah, she's kind of doing her own thing now. But we actually even saw her in the Rob Zombie remake of Halloween 1, and I think she might be in part 2 as well, but definitely 1. So we get to see a young Danielle Harris in this film, guys, and I believe she is the daughter of Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, guys. So it's a cool introduction of kind of like that bloodline where you find out that, you know, the shape, Mr. Michael Myers will not stop, can't stop, won't stop, like P. Diddy. All right, guys. So definitely check this one out. No story, you know, explanation needed. He's just back to kill his bloodline. So I thought it was a really cool one. You get some cool kills along the way, as well as seeing Donald Pleasance again. Donald Pleasance is phenomenal. Unfortunately, he actually, you know, died during the making of like part 6. So he was a part of like a lot of these movies, like 4 or 5 of them, guys. So see it for Donald Pleasance alone. His performance is like very serious in all of the movies that he's in, especially the Halloween movie, guys. So definitely check out Halloween 4 as well as the original if you guys can. All right, guys, now back to the zombie stuff. So Night of the Living Dead. This is also George A. Romero, and I believe this was in 1990, guys. Now, this is one that kind of gets overlooked. It was one that I always saw on TV, and then I eventually saw it like on VHS back then. I don't know if we rented it or what, but I have it on DVD. I hope it gets a Blu-ray release soon. I don't know if there is, but something about this one was just like, it just really stuck in my mind with the with all the characters, just the strong performances, and of course the gore, guys. So when you have George A. Romero, just expect the gore to be awesome. You know what I mean? No CGI at all practical effects. The zombies look great. Once again, it's hordes of zombies, but they're the slow-paced zombies. And of course, you don't get the hordes till the end. So it's kind of like what this is, it is almost a remake. I would say it was a remake of the black and white version. I don't know that year, guys, but it was the first time that they kind of introduced zombies to the world. And, you know, we got to see them kind of eating at you know, just flesh and just like different organs and stuff like that. And it shocked people worldwide. When they saw this, they couldn't believe it. Now we kind of flash forward to 1990, and it's pretty much the same thing. This character, well, you don't see her right here, but this main character, I don't know the actress's name, it doesn't say, but she pretty much gets attacked by a zombie right in the beginning when she's, I believe, visiting her mother with her brother at a cemetery. She pretty much runs, takes off, and holds up in like in a home that's really just secluded, guys. If you guys saw my last Rambo review, Rambo Last Blood, it's a home like that there's nothing around. She's definitely secluded, and she has to hold up there until, like, you know, shit just blows over. She tries to figure out what's going on. Also in this movie is Tony Todd, and we all know him from Mr. Candyman. So if you guys love him, which you guys should, he's awesome. He was awesome in Hatchet. He's awesome in pretty much anything that he does, guys. Definitely watch this movie. It's definitely a shoot 'em up, bang bang zombie type of movie, but it's one of the better ones, guys. Night of the Living Dead, the 1990s version. Now, guys, it's not Halloween without your anthology films, and this is one of my favorite, not just horror movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, and that is Tales from the Hood. Thank God they put it out on Blu-ray. I believe it's a Scream Factory. They did put it out on Blu-ray a couple years ago, I believe, and this just looks phenomenal. You guys could probably see it right there. I got the poster that came along with it. Now, pretty much this is an anthology movie. Like I said, I didn't know about anthology movies too much, and they weren't too regular back then, besides like Creepshow and like Tales from the Crypt that was on TV. Just think about just various stories. This one is more urban influenced, guys. Just things that happen, I guess, throughout the hood. And I believe you get 4 stories in this one right here, and it's narrated by Clarence Williams III, and he does a phenomenal job. He's kind of like a caretaker, and it follows an initial story of him supposedly finding drugs. These gangsters, they want the drugs, and he's going to sell it to him. But along the way, in this mortuary, he starts telling them stories of how each one of these people died, because they did die in twisted and crazy ways. So they're just kind of along for the ride. And their interaction, these 3 guys down here with Clarence Williams III, is freaking hilarious. These guys do a really good job of kind of hamming it up, of being gangsters that just want the shit. I'll just say that. I'm not, no spoilers, guys. But like I said, it does follow some cool anthologies. I won't really go into it. I believe they're like 30-minute episodes. But I know one of the stories is like about a mayor who wants to change the town, but there's a lot of corrupt cops that don't want him to run for office because they don't believe in his change or whatever. So, they end up framing him for something that he didn't do. And then he ultimately ends up getting his revenge on them. So it's kind of hard to get into it without spoilers, guys. There's also a tale of these like little dolls that kind of come to life. There's a really good one, guys, that stars David Alan Grier. Oof, that man, he's an amazing actor, guys. And I haven't seen, I believe he's on a TV show now. But he did start from In Living Color. That's where I saw him at. But in this movie, he plays such a dramatic, evil role in this movie. I won't go into it, but it is a story that about like some demonistic type of stuff, guys. And the last one, I believe, is a more gangster, like street influenced one about just think of Clockwork Orange, where they're kind of doing like a rehabilitation, like a reverse type of thing to kind of reverse this guy's mind state of killing. So just think Clockwork Orange. If you guys have not seen Clockwork Orange, it's kind of that whole reversal factor. So I think they did a really good job kind of compacting all this. And I don't remember the ratings that it got or kind of the response that it got back then, but I think whenever this came out, it might have been 1995, guys. I do remember this scene way back, and it did stick in my brain. So if you guys want a cool 90s anthology horror movie this month to see, definitely check out Tales from the Hood. It's a harder one to get. You guys might have to buy the physical. I don't believe it's on any streaming services, but if it is, like to rent or buy like on Amazon or something like that, I definitely recommend buying and watching this, guys. And last but not least, we go back to the zombie franchise. This one is a little more, I don't know if you would call this funny or not, but it is The Return of the Living Dead. And this might be George A. Romero as well. I'm not completely sure, guys, but it is definitely in his world. I don't think it is, actually. But if you guys like Shaun of the Dead or those more quirky, like funny type of zombie films, definitely check out The Return of the Living Dead. Like I said, this is one of those ones that stuck in my brain. This is definitely probably like the second or third third in my zombie top list, and it was just so fun, guys. I don't know, something about this one that just screams 80s. There's a gang of friends that go looking for their friend right here, and they actually kind of spoil it. He does turn into a zombie. He's right here on the bottom of the Blu-ray itself, and they kind of go looking for him, and they want to hang out. It's all about partying, but they get kind of engulfed in this whole post-apocalyptic zombie world that starts happening. It's a pretty cool transfer of how this chemical kind of gets in the air and just disperses to reanimate these dead bodies. So we actually get an explanation of how these zombies came to life. And when they come to life, they're so cool. It has an amazing 80s soundtrack, guys. So if you guys like stuff like that, 80s gold, you guys are going to love this. I'm telling you. And it kind of leaves off on a note that is very, very satisfying, where it's like a one and done. You're like, okay, don't make any more. I think they actually made a couple of more, but definitely watch the Return of the Living Dead. Actually, I know for sure they made a Return of the Living Dead, and the second one was shitty, and the third one was okay, but it has nothing to do with any of these previous ones. But definitely watch the original, guys. I thought it was great. Like I said, all practical effects from what I could see. There's a whole warehouse full of like cadavers and like animals that are sawed in half. I don't know how they even did that. I mean, it's like animatronic type of stuff, but it's really, really cool. 2019 to go back and watch those movies from the 80s and 90s and just say, wow, like they did all this with practical effects. So yeah, The Return of the Living Dead is definitely a must see. Whew, you made it, guys. I made it. I'm totally out of breath, but definitely check out those top picks. I'm going to leave some timestamps in the description below, guys. So if you guys want to skim through each movie and not hear the previous movies that I talked about, I'll definitely leave that below. But anyways, if you guys did appreciate all these reviews that I did on the retro movies that you guys need to check out this October, please give me a thumbs up. Leave some comments below your favorite movies. Once again, no spoilers, guys, for those that have not seen them. What are some of your retro or even current movies that you got to see this October? All right, guys, thank you so much. If you guys can, hit that subscribe button if you aren't already, share this video, and like I said, give it a like. All right, guys, till next time, I'm gone. Peace.